Now everybody's like, oh yeah, that wink wink, that's a nod to this or whatever. Like, hey, this is a reference to that. Isn't that so great? We all love that. So this is the Simpsons arcade game, Konami 1991? This is like made during season 1 of the real Simpsons Are the Simpsons. So I guess it's like 89, 90. And why is Smithers so evil? I mean, he's doing Mr. Burns' bidding. Would Smithers steal a diamond and a baby? I think that's totally out of character, but whatever. That's that's this game, and it's a paper-thin premise that is actually interesting to watch, like to move through the story, as simple as it is and as repetitive as it is. There's a lot of references to Simpsons stuff in it, and that makes it more interesting than whatever their next game was, X-Men something. It's just a button masher. It's like you just fight until you lose health, and then you add a quarter. Kind of feels like you're just going. I don't know. I don't know the story. I don't know if there's a narrative that's unfolding. So really, in all these games, your motivation to keep moving is to see what are they going to do next. And yeah, there's these detective guys. Like one of them appears to be a baby. I don't know what the deal is with those detectives and why you fight them at a certain point. Okay, so that's my criticism today. In the arcades, this game was amazing, and I remember playing it. And you just want to keep progressing through, and it's a good game where anybody can just jump in randomly because it's four player. And yeah, in this instance, Devin is playing as Marge, and I am Bart, but I will be cycling through different characters, except for Lisa, just because of the way this cabinet is. I have a USB 3 and 4 inputs. I use controllers. And so I thought, if I plug in 3 and 4, well, the laptop I have this plugged into only has, I guess it only has 3 USB ports on it. That must have been the reason. I recorded it a while ago, and I am just now doing audio. So when I would unplug player 1, it would fill in. So if I had 3 controllers plugged in, and it didn't matter which USB port it was, I'm sure there might be a RetroPie setting for saying what port it is, but because this game is hard-coded, like you can't select players, you go to the controls. And I'm assuming they were probably colored the colors they are above. So red is Marge, blue's Homer, green's Bart, and yellow's Lisa. There's a later version of this game that lets you select characters based on, just preference. It probably only has 2 players at a time. I could have downloaded that ROM, but I didn't. I just like, this is what I have, so this is what I'm doing. And yeah, so I recorded this gameplay during kind of a vacation from making YouTube videos, but not really a vacation from like what you would consider things that you take a vacation from. It was like a vacation to do other work. So it's been a while since I played this, but I don't know. I think it's interesting, and for what it was meant for, is a really good game. As like if you were to compare this to a console game, you'd say, oh, this is kind of thin on the mechanics. It's really a button masher. You don't want to just play it to play it. You're kind of playing it for the story, to see where you're going to go and what familiar sights will be there and what characters will appear. So to compare it to a console game, it's not really fair to do that. And probably, I'm not sure, this could just be me saying stuff, but I feel like the 80s was about super difficult arcade games, and the 90s was about very inviting arcade games. Like, arcade games became more casual, so it became more, obviously they became less relevant, but it was also about being inviting. Like 80s stuff was about being super hard and making games super hard so people would come back. But now everyone's got consoles at this point. So it's not like they're like, oh, where do I go to get my video games? The arcade. It's more like if you're at a bowling alley, it's one of those things where it's like you're going out and it's just happens to be there. There's not like a local arcade place. And by the way, here is switch to Homer. I switched to Homer just for the variety. Because I want to do the combo. There we go. These characters have combo moves. You really got to be in communication with each other about, okay, let's do the combo move. Because it's not the easiest thing to pull off. I don't know how kids in the arcade would have communicated that well if we had that much trouble going, wait a minute, I'm trying to do this move where we do a roll. Like, I want to do this roll again. I'm trying to do this roll. Let's do this roll. Oh, God, I got a cat. Okay, I'm going to do this thing with the cat. Why there's like white sheets, why they come out of trees in white sheets, it's a little, I mean, I guess they're supposed to be ghosts, but, you know, it could mean other things. They look like lawyers. For whatever reason, I am very much like, oh, these are a bunch of lawyers. I don't know, that's just like what I think. And see, like, they're all white sheets. That's kind of weird. I guess it's because it's haunted. And so they're like trying to be fake haunting, like trying to scare you. We'll go with that. And why they have umbrellas? Like, I'm not even questioning the umbrellas. Oh yeah, so now we've switched. Oh no, I went back to Bart, because this is going to end. I'm going to one player soon. Now that I had figured out how to do combos, I was just like, oh yeah, let's show that combo. Okay, so now I'm Homer only, and I'm just playing. And I don't know, for whatever reason, I kind of prefer seeing this story with Homer. I like the cutscenes. Each character has different roles that they play in the cutscenes. So if you have multiple characters at once, then they all have their reactions at different times. Yeah, I don't know what those guys were, if they were the people from the old folks home. But yeah, apparently there are actually ghosts there. And so is that the end of that guy? But there's like a million of them, so whatever. And here we go. This is very Streets of Rage. Which I think this might be before Streets of Rage, so who knows? Very 90s, the platform where people come. I'm sure there's some 80s movie where this was like a thing and everybody's referencing it and I don't know about it, but either way, I mean, it's like kind of like get your fill. Get your fill of the platform mechanic, because you won't be seeing that after like 1998. And, oh yeah, by the way, detectives are here. Who are these detectives, and why are they trying to stop you from getting Maggie? I don't know. I don't remember these characters at all in any reference to anything. And by the way, we got in here through going into Krusty's grave. There's a lot of Krusty references, but no actual Krusty. This is pretty elaborate for Moe's Tavern. This is probably the biggest bar that has ever existed. Right here. Yeah, you would have thought Barney would have done something. But who knows? And actually, I keep trying to get Moe to do something, and that's not working either. Like, you think you would just do it. Like, what magic do you have to do to get him to clearly He's not going to do it on his own. You think he'd help you. Like, just like they walk by him and you hit him. But whatever. I don't know what the deal is with that. Yeah, so I'm going back to Marge here. And whether or not there's any difference in, like, is the vacuum more powerful than Homer's fist? I don't know. Is the butt attack more powerful than Homer's jumping up in the air and running attack? I have a feeling it's probably not. I have a feeling they're all the same power. But anyways, so Bart has a skateboard, which is typical Bart. And then Lisa has a jump rope. What? But Lisa is not known for jumping rope. And saxophone is her instrument. So, I mean, I would imagine that there isn't a thorough amount of communication when making a game based on a show that is brand new. Because they were licensing stuff out left and right. I was kind of between two decisions when I was going to do this. So I was going to do this game or Shadow Dancer. And I already did Shinobi, the original arcade game, 1987. And, you know, I played some Shadow Dancer, and it's probably the same level of difficulty. It's not the kind of game that you can just push through. It's the opposite of the Simpsons game. You have to learn where enemies are going to appear and how you should jump where, and it's about kind of getting better at each level in order to progress. So I wanted to do that because I was like, oh, I wanted to do this all two-player. Then I was just like, you know, I don't really care. I just have some two-player and then do the rest myself because that's way easier than doing Shadow Dancer. So I don't know who this guy is, this raging drunk. This is kind of like a sign that this is really a multiplayer game because these bosses take forever with one player. But obviously, if you have 4 players, that boss is going to go by real quickly. So for any kind of little complaints I might have, I think it is just right for its time, and it's just right for the culture of kids randomly arriving, seeing The Simpsons, and being like, wow, I want to play that. And there's usually space for somebody to come in. And, oh yeah, that's the other game, the Turtles in Time, or whatever the Turtles game was. Yeah, I'm talking about the X-Men game, and how I couldn't really bother to keep progressing. But the Turtles game, that was real fun. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles were probably coming to their prime, or, you know, like where everybody's like at the most, this is great, as The Simpsons was, as far as I can remember. Except obviously Simpsons lasted longer. And Turtles went through kind of like I guess like 3 generations of rebirth. So, yeah, the difference between the Turtles game and this game is that the Turtles game got put on consoles, and this didn't. Although this may have been put on, like, Commodore or some weird choice. I don't remember. But the Turtles game, you know, it was on Super Nintendo and Genesis. And basically, it's a little different. Like, the first level's different on each of them. They kind of change things around. I think the Super Nintendo has more stuff. Like, it's, if you were looking for one to play, the Super Nintendo one just has more. But I don't know how it compares to the arcade version, because I'm not doing a video about that right now. But Simpsons games on what? He was a bear? What? I don't get that. But whatever. I don't care. I think it's fun. So Simpsons games on consoles were just awful. It was surprising how consistently awful they were. And I never bought one, but I rented them all. And it's interesting that if they couldn't bring it to the console. Like, at the time, I didn't expect games to be bad that were based on popular franchises. I expected them to be good, but I didn't know that, like, Flying Edge was just a company that made crap to cash in on licenses. By the way, yeah, here's the saxophones. So we're putting the saxophones here. So I don't know if they were like, that'd be kind of weird if Lisa was fighting a saxophone with a saxophone. Yeah, this is an interesting this level has a lot of progression. I mean, we're going from fighting donuts to saxophones to these radioactive guys, and they don't reuse them. Like, I don't see any old man or lawyers. So you got a ton of lawyers and old men, and then you have these. So I guess as much as I'm saying I wouldn't change anything about it, I guess I would change some of the repetitiveness of the early stages. But again, like, what are the parameters of how much space was there for assets, and did they just have it to their limit for this game? I don't know. So, you know, that's just whatever. And now we're fighting Devil Bart, and Devil Bart appears when you actually die. So now we're actually fighting him. But then also, I assume that if you're playing other characters, then if you're Bart, you'd be fighting Devil Bart, which is still interesting. I mean, whatever. Now we're fighting a bowling ball. Bowling used to be a sport that dads like to play. Very rarely do you see things about bowling, but probably, you know, it's like jazz, right? Like, it was really popular in the 40s and 50s. And then you didn't really hear much about it. And then in the 90s, it was like bowling alleys, arcade games. Hey, kids, do them both. So bowling alleys were culturally relevant in the 90s, just like arcade. You see, now bowling alleys, like a bowling alley is something that you buy for if you want to live in a house where you're like, oh yeah, look at my floor. It's a bowling alley. And actually, that's kind of the same thing for like arcade machines. You know, you're like, oh yeah, look at that. I got this giant arcade machine. That used to be a thing that nobody ever thought they could ever own.
Hey, ready? Go!
So at this point, obviously we're going to the nuclear power plant. And obviously Burns is behind it. What's happening? Which again, like, why is Burns stealing a diamond? I forgot. But so now we got the lawyers and they got brooms, and now, you know, it's basically on set of some shows. Don't remember. My Simpsons knowledge is like the equivalent of like tape storage. There's a lot of space. It takes up a lot of space, but it's very slow access. I'm not able to pull everything right away, but I generally know references when I see them, and I have no memory of this robot. But more specifically, I have no idea what, especially in season 1, like, what would you have to pull from? You kind of got to make up stuff. There are Simpsons games that have been made after this, by the way, that probably play on their story. You know, like the story of, like, the actual, like, Simpsons canon. But it's not any of the games made by Flying Edge, that's for sure. That's just an example of kind of not giving a crap and just doing random stuff. But I'm sure there's ones that were made after that are probably, you would say, oh, it's like a spiritual successor to this. I was going to do a Simpsons video, like something about the Simpsons. And this was kind of supposed to be a setup to it. Like, I don't know which order I would have thought of. Yeah, who is this character? But whatever. You have one hit and you're gone. I'm a little concerned about trying to do too many different things. And it's like, really, I'm like kind of on the fence about whether or not I should do videos about video. I guess what would you call it? Like analysis. I was trying to do things, doing videos about, you know, like simple, like what would people search for kinds of things. And then to have a pop culture link to it. But it's kind of like, why don't I just cut to the chase? Why don't I just do what I want to do and do... Like, millennials are just the nostalgia generation. There's... you think boomers are nostalgic. I think millennials are basically... They, like, appropriate other people's nostalgia and take them for their own. Like, that you can... I can have, like, nostalgia about Motown and alternative rock. And that's the end of Smithers. So to do things based on nostalgia, like obviously, there's a lot of it out there. I don't know. I like nostalgia, I guess. So yeah, I'm kind of thinking rather than trying to like make what I would say is like a basic video more interesting, like a practical video. Why not just do the fun stuff? And if it doesn't work, then that's that. But I'd rather just, I guess, just do things that I want to do. Okay, so yeah, boom, there you go. Just one punch and Burns is dead. So yeah, they're witnessing the death. They seem to assume that Maggie did it. They're very shocked. And now, walking away. Just that's the end. No cops. This isn't like the end of Home Alone. The cops don't come. You just walk away. And after all that, Homer has no attachment to material possessions. Just throws away the diamond. Entirely not at all in character, but again, I mean, what else? How are you gonna end that? You're walking home, what's gonna happen? I don't know if I have anything else to say. I think I'm done. I think I'm good.